Will AI take over education? We talked to an educator about how artificial intelligence can be useful in the world of education, but asks one real question. Will AI destroy the way we view education? Frankly, Starr Butler gives a damn.
People talk about education being something that, especially because you're in big T-type schools, being something that, for them can feel like it's very draining on some level, and then you're more than just a teacher to these young minds. But you've been in this now a decade, 10 years. What has kept you in the game so long?
I love teaching young people, I'll be honest with you. In my classroom, I see the brilliance and potential in every young person. The kid that might be frustrating or might talk back to you, I see that kid as a future lawyer.
Absolutely.
Or a future activist. I just see how brilliant and wonderful they are, and I love being a part of that. And for instance, I was recently invited to one of my former students' weddings.
Oh, what?
And he was my first student when I first entered the field, and he's about to graduate from the police academy, and he's about to become a police officer, and he has a beautiful wife. And I remember when he was a kid, I'm not going to put too much of his business out there.
Indeed.
Out of respect, but
you see this guy's whole arc of life.
Yeah,
that's great.
Still staying in contact, and I'm so proud of him. So to know that you get to see all of these different lives kind of blossom and know that you played a part in that, or that played a role in that, feels good. But when it comes to the draining part, education is very draining. There are really no days off. I mean, you have kids for 7 hours a day, and no, you're not teaching for the full 7 hours. On average, teachers teach about 5 to 4 classes a day, again, depending on the schedule. And in between those periods that you teach, you have a block of time to grade. But if you are a person that gives essays, there's no way you're grading 100 plus essays in 45 or 60 minutes.
That's a lot.
And so you do find yourself taking work home because you might grade on the weekends because you have more time. You might plan during your blocks because you have time. Or you might have tutoring sessions, which is taking up your free time.
I did.
So you really, you have to. You have.
Well, it sounds like you have to be very organized.
You have to be very organized, but also you have to be committed to doing this work. I'm being honest. If you're just doing this role for the summers off, you're going to burn out quicker because you're doing so much in between that time. So you have to go into this profession with a love for young people and be committed to the work and the impact that you have on young people.
No, for sure. What's interesting, so you've already done all the requirements to be a principal. You have principal qualities, capabilities based on your pedigree and also your knowledge-based experience. But not only have you figured out the admin route, I want to say, took a creative and professional detour amid the process of being eligible for principalship, if that's a word, by learning AI and understanding how to integrate that into today's educational spectrum for the high schoolers and so they're beyond. To the point now where people are, it's dope for me because as a big brother, I get to watch her now turn into a consultant. If y'all don't know, I get money for years. So to teach my little sister how to get it cracking is dope, and to watch you become what I now look at as a thought leader in relation to artificial intelligence and its application in education. It's amazing to watch. But talk about that journey, that transformation, because I don't see a lot of teachers, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, that are in the high school space now realizing how to integrate AI in the education. I would assume that'd probably be more like a consultant, but you're actually in the classroom and seeing practical usage and hoping to evangelize other teachers into practical usage as well. So talk about that too, because that's dope.
Thank you. Okay. I'll start with a story. So I first learned about AI in 2023. So just for context, I teach at a special school, and what makes my school special is that our students do not have to
take me on the short bus.
Our students do not have to take the Regents exam, which is, think about it as an exit exam. So
I used to hate the Regents.
Yeah, you
just brought me way back.
Yeah, it's hard. So our kids only have to take one of them, which is ELA, And that's just to measure, can they do college writing when they graduate? But everything else, instead, they'll be given a waiver. And that waiver is given after they do these dissertation style projects or research papers. And so I didn't know anything about AI but beyond the Terminator in 2023. And I was put on a panel to review a student's dissertation style work. And I taught this kid when they were in 10th grade. And by the time you take these assessments, you're at 11th or 12th grader. I'm reading this paper and I'm like, no, I taught this kid. And I'm reading this word. I'm like, this is great. Mm-hmm. You know, and of course I ran it through your traditional plagiarism detectors. It came up as 0% plagiarism. And I'm just like, oh, wow, like this kid did a lot of work. They really shaped up from the next time I had them. Right. And then I had a coworker look at the paper and they were like, let me see that paper. And they said, oh no, this is ChatGPT. I'm like, what was ChatGPT? And they're like, oh, you don't know about ChatGPT? So they pulled up their laptop, went on the website, and they're like, yeah, all you have to do is just type this and then it gives you that. And then, yeah, like this is what kids are doing.
So when year was this?
2023.
Okay. 2023. Do you know when ChatGPT came out?
That was the year that ChatGPT became public. It was 2023 or 2022. But I'm very confident that it was 2023.
Okay.
And so I'm like, oh snap! Like you just automate paper writing now.
Love.
And so at first, right? Because I think about when I was a kid, and I don't know if I ever shared this story with you, but you know, knowing the mom that we had, that or family we had, because our father, our aunts, etc., played a big major role in our lives too. But we had to read the dictionary off. We had to read a book.
Man, and the Encyclopedia Britannica. Like this was when there was the books.
Right. And when I was in, not going to say the school, but when I was in our elementary school, I had a teacher accuse me of plagiarism because they couldn't believe that I was using certain vocabulary words or I had set certain sentence flow, structure, whatever, syntax, blah, blah, blah. And so mommy had to come to the school and defend me because this teacher was accusing me of cheating. And so now, fast forward 2023, I remember how small I felt and knowing that somebody questioned my intellectual ability because they had such a small idea of what I'm capable of. And I didn't want a kid to feel that way, especially now.
Yeah, that's right.
And so I did find that there were these AI detectors online. And so I ran it through, said 100%. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to grade it because this checker is saying blah. Now, over time, not too long of a time, I would say maybe about a year in, I started finding out through different articles that these AI detectors, they're not that great. They're not that accurate in detecting plagiarism because now, in response to the AI detectors, you have humanizers. And so now kids are putting in the AI text, asking it to humanize it. It sounds a little bit more human. Right. You run it through the AI detector. It now has 0% detection. So because of that, I had to say to myself, well, how do I flip this? Again, not trying to put someone in a position thinking that I don't think they're intellectually capable of writing a stellar essay. But I also can't let you get away with cheating. So I said to myself, I'm going to start hosting conferences moving forward. So anytime I read a paper and there's a section that has this really profound analysis with this really complicated word, but not really explained in depth, I'm just going to have a one-on-one conference with the kid and say, hey, this was a really great point. Can you explain that to me? And if the kid can't explain this block of text or this word that they're using, then I'm like, you need to revise that. You need to redo this. Because the fact that you can't explain this to me lets me know that you had had a lot of assistance that you should not be using. And just framing my language, again, not being accusatory, not saying you're not capable, but this is a teachable moment, right? Don't do it because you're going to get caught.
Right.
And so then after that, I started saying to myself, well, can AI be used in an educator space? And so,
which probably feels oxymoronic to educate.
It does, mostly because, and teachers have big egos, and I'll say it, teachers have huge egos. You have a bunch of folks that have all of these different degrees because eventually you need a master's as a teacher.
Yep.
And now folks think that they are outsourcing their intelligence to this platform, or they feel I'm too intelligent, I don't need to use this. But the goal, in my mind, I'm thinking I've been in education now for, at that point, about 8 years.
Yep.
I have 2 master's degrees that I earned on my own without the help of AI. I don't need to prove anything to anyone. If I decide to use AI to do the technical parts of my lesson plan, I have no guilt or no shame about that. I use AI to build my lesson plans. Yes.
And I'm glad you said that, because it's no different than having a TA.
Exactly. It really is.
It's like getting rid of the grunt work.
Exactly. And because I remember, and any veteran teacher will share this, when you first start out your first 2 or 3 years, you might spend 2 hours, 3 hours just developing 1 or 2 lesson plans for the week. That's a lot of time.
That's a lot of time.
It's a lot of time. And so I was thinking, how can I use AI to be more efficient and get my time back? Because I have to grade essays. That takes me about 2 or 3 days, but I still have lesson plans in between. So I'm going to use a lesson plan.
Right.
Eventually, as ChatGPT and other platforms started upgrading and then had PDF download options, I'm like, I'm making the worksheets too.
No.
I'm doing all, like, why not?
Right.
Like, clearly AI is not inventing the topic, right? I'm guiding it as far as I want to teach Black conquistadors, right? It's Black history. So I'm in it's Black History Month, so I'm going to talk about Black history. And so Black conquistadors is not a widely discussed topic because folks think about during the Age of Exploration, they think about Christopher Columbus, Ghana, all of these
Magellan.
Right. But people don't know that Black folks accompany all of these people throughout this journey. And there's a big discussion that can be had about that. That's not what we're talking about today. But when it comes to making something that's very ambiguous in the history realm concrete to young people, and I have this idea in my head, but it takes a while to flesh it out. But I have this virtual thought partner that's helping me create this and making something that's really abstract, tangible. Why not? Why should I spend 5 hours with this abstract idea in my head and then just keep going through these different renderings of what it could look like on my own when that was created in about an hour? Because a really thoughtful lesson plan, even through AI, might take about 30 minutes to an hour. Because the first output is not what you actually want. You want to add the critical thinking questions. Maybe you want for them to do some type of writing. Maybe if you're in a classroom, you have students that read at a 2nd grade level, even though they're in 10th grade, and you have some kids that are at 10th grade level proficiency, and that's where they should be. You still need to modify the text so that it's accessible to all of them. And AI helps me with that. So I don't see anything wrong personally with it, but I do know some folks are hesitant. They're worried about brain rot. There was a study that came out about a year ago from MIT saying that folks that overuse AI for tasks like essay writing, the brain waves in their minds start to wane. It's not as strong as if they were to do the work themselves. And I question that. I'm not saying, though, the research is valid, but I question, is that person just a passive consumer, or are they making edits? Right. Like if I just say, hey, write me a 500-word essay on Black conquistadors, print, and then print, that's different. But if I'm asking it to create something with what I know about Black conquistadors, reading the output, making edits, that's different. So I'm not a neuroscientist, so I'm not going to do the brainwave magnification or whatever folks need to do to figure out what's happening in here. But I do believe, as a person that uses ChatGPT, and I don't feel that my brain functioning has decreased in any way. If you're still engaging with the tool, not just accepting what it gives, I think you're avoiding that brain rot that MIT discovered. With kids now, that's where it's tricky. And going back to what you asked as far as how am I integrating it in the classroom, that's a tricky one. And in my mind, I thought to myself, how can I leverage student curiosity for, how can I leverage student curiosity to get this high order thinking that we keep talking about in schools? And so high order thinking is just critical thinking. How do we get our students from memorizing and just repeating facts to actually inventing knowledge? And that's hard. That's hard to do. It's very, very hard. And in my opinion, it seems like a unicorn in education because we have a lot of schools that use scripted curriculum. There's not a lot of opportunities for students to really experiment because they have exit exams like Regents and whatnot. So it's limited opportunities. But in my school, my context, I'm very fortunate and privileged. And so I said to myself, well, I don't have a background in coding. I don't have a background in AI. I don't have a background, a formal background in AI, prompting, any of those fancy things. But what I do know is I see the problems with engaging with AI. How can I now embed the same level of investigation that I have with AI to my students? And that led to me creating a parallel curriculum that teaches AI literacy alongside my Black history curriculum. So my kids are learning about Black history stuff, and at the same time, they're learning how AI is perpetuating bias and stereotypes about folks, or it's very limited. And then that leads to us doing further investigation about data sets, and that leads to a whole lesson on what are data sets. Beyond AI, where else are data sets present? Or with the data sets that are around, where are they coming from? What is that telling us about kind of the depth of the internet and the has access to it? What does that tell us about the developers? What does that tell us about what solutions can be proposed to make sure that AI is not ignorant? Because it's very ignorant. It's not intelligent.
Right.
You know, these are just terms that folks use to make these platforms seem more smarter than they are. They're not that. They're not intelligent at all. AI does not invent information. And people don't know that either. AI does not create. AI just regurgitates. It just repeats.
Right.
It cannot create knowledge. And Claude, people are saying Claude might have a hint of sentience. That's possibility. But beyond that, AI at this point.
So those who don't know what is sentience.
That it has a spirit, that it has life to it, that it can think on its own, that it's a thinking being, possibly. There was an article that came out maybe about a week or two ago that a person that worked for Anthropic is the company that produces Claude. That person said they believe that there might be evidence of sentience in Claude. And they were immediately fired after making that claim. Now, this is me putting my tinfoil hat on, but
you said the quiet part out loud, person.
Yeah, I'm putting my tinfoil hat on. I mean, you know, if you're engaged with Claude, you know what I'm talking about. Claude sometimes feels like it's your best friend. We're in the ChatGPT, so, you know, not going down that rabbit hole. But essentially, right, that leads to people are making these observations about AI. And as a history teacher, and just thinking about how technology has been used to control people, how technology has been used to experiment on people to make better technology or innovations for other people that are not in marginalized communities. How can I integrate this enduring issue into my class? And that's what I've been able to do. But that's only my classroom. And so now thinking about scalability, how can we expand this into other spaces? That's where my principal license comes in. And then that's where my consulting comes in. So if you need me, hire me.
Yeah. Shameless plug.
The Generative Learning Lab.
Well, actually, with that being said, if they wanted to get at you, how could they do that?
So you can reach out to me through LinkedIn. My name on LinkedIn is Starr, Starr Butler. And then from there, if you just send me a DM, we'll be able to communicate from there. But our goal is to bridge the gap between tech and pedagogy, right? Because you cannot bring AI to a classroom without pedagogy.
Yeah, we'll put it down underneath later. You know what? I think I'm trying to pull it up. I was watching something I sent to you the other day, and I thought it was awesome because there's, you know, everybody has their own ideas of what's going to happen with AI now. And I think the most interesting thing about this, honestly, is like, I don't think anybody's wrong. know what I'm saying? I just think that everybody is seeing things that others don't see. So you have to make point. And there was a young lady that had an interview or conversation with Gary Vee that I thought was pretty interesting. But in essence, what they were saying is that the age of social media is ending or possibly already over because of AI. And I actually thought that was like a really interesting way to put this, because she was completely saying that, here we go. She was completely saying that at the end of the day, AI is changing the way we interact with the phones and with tech, because and part of this had everything to do with the meta glasses too, like between voice, meta glasses, and at some point there's going to be a convergent intersectionality point where everything's going to now allow us to not have to touch anything. It's just like I speak it, it comes to me, it's in my glasses, it's like you're just completely tapped in, and now you have no need to hold anything. You're just moving around, getting things on demand, having intelligent conversation, asking intelligent questions, and you're getting information back to you instantaneously. It's integrated with your shopping habits, integrated with your entertainment choices. Like everything's converging. And I thought that was actually like a really poignant statement. And I don't think she was also saying she doesn't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. It's just, are people going to be ready for their complete lifestyle change to occur based on the fact that they're probably using this one-dimensionally new AI, and now understanding that that's where corporate wants to go.
Absolutely. So it just feels like you'll be in this permanent VR game.
Exactly. Oh, and that's something AR, augmented reality, because those glasses as well.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, let me see if they give us.
They're still.
Yeah, I don't pay for YouTube, y'all, so it's gonna be big.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I was here from the beginning with what's straight.
And while we're waiting for this, please, again, like, you see my sisters dropping straight knowledge. Subscribe if you haven't already, like more conversations like this. I think me and Starr gonna just jump on, sign up for y'all, and all that kind of stuff. Just keep it flowing, but share all of that, man. It's real things. And like I said, hit our LinkedIn if you want to give us some doubt. He's taking word right now. Church is always taking donations.
That's era. I think AI tracks the current value proposition of the social media platforms in their current state.
This is already my favorite podcast ever. Talking about a very smart thing. When distribution changes, everything changes. Augmented reality is a huge winner. If we really just wear glasses, don't really hear, we can have a third guest right now. And she's here.
The data that I'm seeing show that we're starting to show that we want something new.
A lot more people are saying they're going to unplug than actually.
Right.
And people are carrying the recent poem. It's not stop. From the wheel to AI, we will.
AI will meet you where you are.
And where you are at all times. I think video is a very big deal for human beings. Videos have been replaced from our society for 100 plus years, and 5 years away from no one believing a video on the internet. That's the dangerous part of this. So let's talk about it.
Yeah, shout out to, what's her name? Sinead something. She's dope. Like I like everything she's talking about in this. You know what I'm saying? We can get us Sinead both. She's dope. I like what she's talking about. But you can see from that little intro right there where they're going with this. But just to give you the cliff notes, again, she's saying she thinks social media is over already because of AI.
Mm-hmm.
She said that right now nobody knows if who they're watching is real or fake, which is true. Like I did a video recently, I dropped all the videos, and people on my YouTube page said, yo, that's AI, that's AI. I was literally in the studio and they thought I was a fake character manifested from somebody else's, yeah, you know what I'm saying? I'm sitting here like, I was actually flattered. I'm like, yo, you think I'm AI? This is crazy. But to that end, people learning to adapt, and I think it completely aligns with what you're doing, because all they're talking about is adaptation and projecting into the future of what they think is coming out of the pipeline. But with that being stated, how do you think AI integrates well into education, and does it utilize additional technology like meta glasses and all this other stuff? And to be completely honest, as a sidebar, Meta AI right now has an open grant opportunity if people can show them practical uses of their glasses in multiple ways, and there's different grant opportunities by usage. So they're saying, we don't know what you're gonna do, but here's the parameters to get 10,000, 25,000, 50,000, 100,000, 250. And I'm gonna send that to you. But the deadline's like in March.
Okay.
But there's like people like when I saw that, all I thought was, oh, Meta's smart. They're saying to people, think about things out the box that we won't think of, and then we'll pay you to keep basically A/B testing the tech for us, and then we might use it.
Wow.
Which is crazy. But yeah, but how do you think this stuff can be integrated? Like, do you see a time when kids are going to be wearing Meta glasses in class?
They are. They are, and so are the teachers.
Right.
And I understand why teachers would wear Meta glasses. It's not for creepy reasons.
No.
But depending on your school context, if you teach in a context where students make it to a fight with the educator,
Right.
The teacher's usually always wrong, right? And sometimes the Meta glasses serves as a buffer for that teacher's protection.
Makes sense.
Especially because it's showing things from their point of view,
Right.
Rather than just hearing from the observers and the other participants. So kids use it, not for strategic reasons like an adult, but they use it because it's cool now. It's like, oh, you got Meta glasses, that's why this lit.
Right.
So everyone has their own purposes. When it comes to AI and education, I have no idea what's going to happen in the next year or so. But right now, LLM models like ChatGPT, Claude, etc., they are severely flawed right now.
Right.
And my kids just recently did some research on how much Black history AI knows, and it was very limited. And they were able to write 10 to 20 page papers on their research. And for folks that are nervous about students' writing abilities being compromised because of overuse of AI, we as teachers have to modify our instruction. We need to provide more tangible experiences through investigation, inquiry, right? That's our buzzword too, inquiry. So our students are performing their own original research, and it could be exploring AI. It could be maybe using AI to try and solve a problem, but that individual and original research will allow for them to write authentic papers.
Got it.
But I would also ask an educator, have you shared your boundaries with students when it comes to AI? I don't think that you should be completely against AI. I think that you should moderate it. And I'd rather my students know that we have boundaries with AI. Every assignment has an AI boundary. This is either a no AI assignment or free use, right? But my students do have to write AI logs where they have to document how they used AI. Was the output accurate to what they were anticipating?
Right.
If not, why? So constantly, as we're using AI, we are doing this meta work on how is it affecting me? What am I now learning about it? What problems do I foresee in the future on top of the original assignment I gave out? So my kids are constantly learning, constantly writing. And because this is all new for them, because they see all the stuff we see, they hear the doomsday stories, they hear, they see the AI slot videos, they see all of these things. And so because no one is taking that curiosity and leveraging it, that's kind of where we as educators are falling short. And I would say, and this week now putting on my principal hat, I would say in your school, you have a talented teacher or teachers, ones that are not jaded. Those are the teachers that you need to carve out time for to learn and master AI and give them the freedom to integrate what they're learning into their curriculum, and then allow for them to be the teacher leaders that then disseminate what they're learning to their colleagues. So that way now, it's not just you buying all of these subscriptions to all these tech programs. You are now taking a platform that should only cost you $30 a month. And you are not having to learn an entirely new system, an entirely new curriculum. You are using the basic foundational tools that all these ed tech programs use, and then harnessing it within curriculums you have already developed. When you give a teacher a new ed tech tool, and no shade, because I do work with startups, no shade to my startups, and if we work together, you know how where I stand on that, and you also know that I can help you get into what I'm describing here. But when you give teachers new curriculum, you burn them out. they have to grade, they have to lesson plan, they have to make phone calls home, they have to do all these other things, and then show up the next day bright-eyed and bushy-tailed teaching the kids. Giving them a new curriculum, it's an initiative that's going to die as hard as it came. So getting that talented teacher that isn't jaded, still have that spark in their eye, and creating a special schedule for them where instead of teaching 5 blocks a day, maybe they teach 3, because now they have extra time to invent. And so for principals, this is the time where we need to be more innovative with our scheduling. How are we giving our teachers more time to actually integrate this product into our unit? What are we looking for? Is there a model we should follow? Not buy a new subscription to a new platform. That's a very expensive.
Very.
And then if you don't have someone that's going to help roll it out to even teach people how to use it, then you just spend $10,000 for something no one is using. That's a wasteful investment.
Crazy.
But
and these licenses cost more. You're talking about a whole school.
Absolutely. You're talking about 10, 20K. 10, 20K. And then if a district invests, that's like 100K.
How much pushback, if any, do you see from the city or state level in terms of like the DOE or which I guess is about, but from every level of larger administrations, do you see pushback on AI integration? Oh,
absolutely not.
That's a good thing.
The Department of Education wants for AI to be integrated into the curriculum because we're in competition with countries that have been doing this work already. We are behind.
Shout out to China.
We are behind. And there are plenty of grants being provided by the Department of Education at the federal level to help schools and individuals integrate this work and create things that are meaningful. So it's really about principals carving out the time and finding those teachers who are willing to do this action research, if you will. Like, how do I integrate it? Let me try it out. How did it work out? Okay, this works. How do we now scale it to everyone else? And so that requires principals to change their schedule. I'll be honest. You might have to go from a schedule that's normally 45 minutes a period to maybe block schedule where the blocks rotate. And so now teachers have different teaching loads each day, which gives them the time to actually practice and collaborate with folks, right? Maybe the computer science teacher needs to be in a partnership with the humanities teachers. They have a co-teaching dynamic, meaning 2 teachers in the room. And then that way, the computer science teacher, if you have one, can figure out ways to integrate their knowledge into the humanities teacher's content or vice versa. So there's a lot of opportunity to be innovative outside of just playing with the tech. We have to be wiser about how are we shifting away from traditional models of education. And I think the pushback is from that. Folks, especially adults, right? We're all adult learners, especially if you're watching this cast, you are an adult, right? We sometimes struggle with change, and especially AI, because it's so rapid. Like every month, there's a new version of something.
Indeed.
And so it does feel like you're always on this hamster wheel, just trying to keep up. And rather than focus on, am I on sonnet or haiku? Focus on, okay, that's nice that it has a little upgrade, but how can I, again, still use this tool that just gives me outputs faster? How can I integrate this into curricula to leverage students, leverage students' curiosity in order for me to have a classroom that's fostering critical thinking consistent?
Yep.
It's possible. It does take work. It wasn't easy for me to do this. I did have to ask permission from my principal to do this. I knew that if things didn't work out through my experimentation, that I am jeopardizing students' graduation. And guess what? It worked out. I have a 100% pass rate on the work my kids did. All of my kids received a Regents waiver in January versus June. So now they have the rest of the school year. They're still going to do work. They still do work. But they don't have that heavy burden of, I need to do this big project for Starr because I need to get my Regents waiver. No, we cancel that in January. Don't worry about it. Still not right paper, but it's not the one that gives you the Regents that's taken care of. And even as a teacher, I feel less stressed now because my kids are fine. My kids are fine. I can now have more fun with them rather than focus on what's the exiting project. And so now what I've done, I've been able to coach other educators in integrating this into their curricula. And then this has opened me up to talking to edtech startups and professors who are creating their own platforms and whatnot, and giving them guidance on how are we fostering critical thinking, and also how are we making sure that AI is equitable and as anti-bias as it could possibly be. And that's kind of my mission now as far as my consulting work goes. How are we fostering critical thinking? How are we making AI less biased? And then how are we making sure that the way it's being taught is equitable, so all students have access to it?
Yeah, is this also another tentacle of the AI gold rush in terms of like looking at theory at how it can benefit education? Because I don't see a lot of people getting granular about how AI can affect and better education from a professor standpoint or a teacher standpoint. So you feel like you're kind of like the progenitor or leader of a new way to think in relation to how to integrate AI, utilizing into education, traditional education.
I mean, technically speaking, I guess I am a part of the gold rush, but it only became gold to me when my students were misusing it.
Okay.
And I would hate for a kid to go to college and misuse the tool, and now they're expelled from the school. They now will struggle to find another school that will take them in, and they still have not unlearned how to not misuse AI. So I'm part of the gold rush because I see young people not being guided on how to use these tools, and also not being taught that these tools are not intelligent like you think they are. No one's dispelling the myth. And so that's problematic if we're sending high school age students to college. They don't know what's happening.
True.
That's very irresponsible for a school to do.
That's true. Yeah, very cool. So, I mean, give people some little last words about this stuff, right? Like, for one, what can somebody, without giving away the farm, what can somebody expect if they were to contract your services? And who are you seeking? Because I know, I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. Someone's just gonna be picky about her clients. So you don't like to get so I understand that. So at the end of the day, what do they need to do to come to you correctly, or to gauge, or to get your interest about helping their new cause or integration of AI into their reaching?
I need to know what your why is. Why are you entering education with your tool?
Right.
What is the mission? What are you trying to improve or better? How are you making sure that your tool is equitable to young people from every zip code? That's what matters to me, is your why. If this is just a hustle where you can get a nice 100K, 200K payout, we don't need to talk. Because these kids are not dollar signs. These are real.
Right.
These are people. And they deserve love and care, and they're precious. And you don't put predators, no matter how rich you are, it can be a predator.
Right.
If you are only in this to flip your life, you are a predator. I don't need to do business with you.
Boom. That's real though. See, everybody's talking about AI from the breadth component, but you're talking saying it has to be morals over money.
Absolutely.
If you happen to get a bag, beautiful. But let's not forget, we're trying to make sure kids are awesome out here. Like, that's the end goal. Talk about OSG just a little bit. I'm only asking because I know a lot of people have heard about this from Dame Dash saying he put a consortium of principals together, or you guys do all this amazing stuff. What was that like? What was Dame Dash's component like? What do you think about this whole process? And I already talked to you before about like entertainers now trying to align with education, which could be a cool thing, but being an insider, have you seen that being effective? Are principals changing or aligning, and it's working for the students? Like, what do you think about all this? Because there was a time people in music or entertainment weren't directly trying to align with schools. They were just getting naming rights, it seemed like, for charges.
So OSG stands for Off School Grounds, and it's a nonprofit organization that I was introduced to while at Columbia University from my professors, Dr. Dennis McKeezy and Dr. Ashina Bias. Shout out to them.
Shout out.
Thank you so much for everything. Transform my life.
Word.
And so it is a coalition of principals from around the country who come together to talk about trends in education, workshop problems, as well as collaborate on future projects. And so many different projects have emerged from this organization that are phenomenal. There's work in combating chronic absenteeism. But there's other work being done to make sure that students who are interested in podcasting, Dave Dash, for instance, I know has built podcasts in schools.
Let's go. You know that.
So wonderful work is being done because people are realizing that our current education system needs restoration.
Yeah.
And it's more than just textbooks and can a kid read and write. It's about how are we leveraging students' interest? And so our students want to be around podcasts. They want to do music engineering. They want to know about AI. And this organization understands the power of leveraging, and they are making sure that the schools that they work with are building wonderful platforms and building podcast studios, et cetera, to make sure that students are actively engaging while they come to school.
Dope.
So it's great to be a part of an organization and being around so many magnificent leaders around the country.
Yeah, that's a lot. Like I said, I'm glad people can hear the insider, because one thing they hear, a lot of people might not be hearing from the educators that are involved with that. So it's good that you have an inside track on that kind of stuff too, just to showcase, the overlap, make entertainers now in education. But thankful you're here in town, chopping it up. This is the first of many conversations you guys are going to get with me and my sister. I really want to showcase her talents and her perspective on so many different topics. So today we went the route that she's the most passionate about. Sometimes it's going to be some shit I'm just into. But today we wanted to just really give you guys a glimpse behind the curtain and how she's thinking and her thought leadership on education, which is cutting edge and coming hot and fast as AI keeps evolving. And the revolving door of education is now kind of something that she's solidifying, something that kids can really utilize and advance from. So Starr, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Love you. Thank you. And this won't be the last time. And y'all gotta understand, it's the first time she's really done this. Like, we did a podcast before.
Yeah.
She told me completely not to put it out. I still have it.
Yeah, don't put that.
So I'm not going to, because we got a better studio now. But she's a different person, you know what I mean? She's blowing up, doing her thing. So it is what it is. Thank y'all for watching. And frankly, give it, last thing, Starr, frankly, what do you give a damn about?
I give a damn about the kids.
Boom.
I love that.
Yeah. Frankly, I give a damn about my sister, my family, and all the things I'm passionate about, and this being one. So thank you guys for watching. Again, subscribe if you haven't already. Why are you slow? Holler at us. We're going to be here early and often. Share this, especially if you know somebody in education. Tell them to holler at her. We're getting your LinkedIn, and definitely subscribe, all right? Frankly, we give a damn. Peace.